Happy birthday, Wikipedia! The free online encyclopedia turns 20 years old. Hi there, I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and this is Plain English lesson number 330. The full lesson is online at plainenglish.com/330. Coming up today, the world's biggest encyclopedia turns 20 years old, and it's free. The expression is over the years, and we have a quote of the week. Last Friday, January 15th, 2021, Wikipedia turned 20 years old. Very few websites have been around as long as that. Today, we are going to take a brief look at its history and how it became a household name. Back in the late 1990s, when the internet was first spreading into mainstream culture, people talked a lot about the newfound access to information the internet would bring. The world's knowledge would be at our fingertips, we were told. This exciting new era would see us all take to the information superhighway. The reality didn't quite live up to the hype, at least at first. The World Wide Web in the 90s didn't look anything like it does now. It was a lot more homogeneous, a lot more homespun. Animated, under-construction GIFs were commonplace. It was a wild west run by enthusiasts and crackpots. Official, reliable information from reputable sources was often hard to find. If you wanted to look up a fact, you still had to search through a printed encyclopedia. These large, multi-volume books were expensive and took up a lot of shelf space, so most people didn't have one at home. To access one, you had to go to a library. Microsoft had an encyclopedia called Encarta, which was available on CD-ROM. This was a slightly better option than the average website, but the digital world had yet to deliver on its promise of easy access to knowledge for all. In the year 2000, Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger began a project to create an online encyclopedia which they called Newpedia. Their plan was to have articles written and peer-reviewed by experts, but this proved to be slow going. They published just 12 articles in their first year. So on January 15th, 2001, they created Wikipedia, a side project where people could discuss articles that might be added to Newpedia. The fundamental difference was that anyone could contribute to Wikipedia. The spin-off proved more popular than the original. A month after it began, Wikipedia published its 1,000th article. By the following September, it had 10,000, and by the end of its first year, it had over 20,000 articles. Fast forward 2 decades to the present day, and it has over 6 million articles in English, with millions more in other languages. Wikipedia articles have been created in 316 languages, all told. Wales and Sanger eventually abandoned Nupedia in 2003, by which time it had produced just 24 articles in total. It had become completely eclipsed by Wikipedia, which became the main focus of Wales's work. Jimmy Wales created a Wikimedia Foundation in order to run Wikipedia as a non-profit organization. To this day, the site has never featured advertising and relies instead on donations from its users to keep the site going. Wikipedia has held numerous fundraising drives over the years, and in every year of its operation, it has collected more in donations than it spent on running the site. The extra money, technically net assets rather than profits, is kept in reserve to go toward the site's future operating costs. There was some good information to be found on Wikipedia right from the start, but there was also plenty of inaccurate material. Some people wrote articles for laudable reasons to share what they knew with the world. Others wrote incorrect or irrelevant articles for fun to see what they could get away with. A few had darker motives, hoping to discredit others or profit from sowing misinformation. Wikipedia relies on its users not just to write the articles, but also to edit them and ensure that what is published on the site is true. There are around 30,000 users who regularly edit the English version of Wikipedia, minuscule compared to the 40 million total users who have registered to write or edit articles. The number of people simply visiting the site is higher still, many millions per day. Still, between them, these editors manage to make something like 1.9 edits per second, guided by three overarching principles. To appear on Wikipedia's pages, information must come from a reliable source, it must come from a verifiable source, and it must be presented from a neutral point of view. Over the years, Wikipedia's editors have worked hard to ensure the accuracy of its articles, and the site's reputation for unreliability has faded. In 2003, just 2 years after Wikipedia began, an IBM study concluded that purposeful inaccuracies on the site were usually corrected so quickly that most users were unlikely ever to see its effects. A significant case of vandalism was uncovered in 2005, however. The Siegenthaler incident, as it became known, involved a well-known figure whose biography was found to have been changed on purpose. An unknown person edited the page to falsely state that Siegenthaler had been a suspect in the assassinations of U.S. President John F. Kennedy and U.S. Attorney General Robert F. Kennedy. By the time this was discovered, the damage had gone unnoticed for months. In response, Wikipedia implemented new policies designed to prevent such damage. In particular, unregistered users were no longer permitted to publish new articles. Biographies of living people were also subject to stricter reviews. Faced with such a large editing task, Wikipedia has employed artificial intelligence to lighten its volunteers' load. Software bots scan new edits for copyright infringement or libel. When a bot finds a problem, it can either revert the edit back to its original state automatically or flag the issue for attention from a human editor, of whom there are usually between 10 and 20 available at any time. Wikipedia has grown steadily year over year, adding hundreds of new articles each day and expanding its coverage into other languages. In 2017 and again in 2018, Wikipedia was declared the 5th most popular site on the internet. This was the peak of the site's popularity. Its user engagement has fallen in recent years, and in 2020, it held the number 11 spot. Part of the reason is that Wikipedia is blocked in China. This block initially focused on the Chinese language version only, but was expanded to cover versions in all languages in 2019. Wikipedia encouraged its users to plan events to mark the site's 20th anniversary and provided grants to those planning to hold community celebrations. On the day itself, in mid-January, organizers held a global virtual party. They hope to hold another event later in the year, in October or November, if the pandemic has eased by then. It turned out well, though, right? Wikipedia, it was a joke. I graduated from college in 2003, so we never really used it in any official sense in college. But I remember college professors openly ridiculing it. It seemed that the early opinion was that if something was on Wikipedia, it must be false. Not that it might be false, it must be false. But now it's pretty reliable. The wisdom of crowds, right? So hats off to the editors and managers who keep that site alive. I donated in 2020. I thought I use this site so much for everything, I should contribute. So I gave $20. It's a good site and a great story. Today's expression is a somewhat easy one, over the years. You probably understood it in its original context, but I wanted to spend some time to show you how and when to use this expression. Earlier in the lesson, I said, over the years, Wikipedia's editors have worked hard to ensure the accuracy of its articles. This simply means for a long period of time. That long period of time has to be several years long. Wikipedia's editors have worked hard to ensure the accuracy of its articles for a long period of time. We usually say over the years when reflecting back on something. You might reflect back on how something has changed, on a long-term effort, or just on how something has been for a long time. The key is that the change took a long time to be complete. It's 2021. You would not say, over the years, TikTok has become more popular. That change happened pretty quickly. We reserve this for changes or developments that took a longer time. Over the years, Austin, Texas has grown from being a small university town to being a tech powerhouse. That's a change. Austin has grown in importance. It's the capital of the state of Texas, and it's home to the University of Texas. But these days, it's much more than that. About 1 million people live there now, and a lot of companies have their corporate or regional headquarters there. There was a furniture store near my house growing up called Bob's Discount Furniture. Just a couple of locations. The owner would go on local TV stations in Connecticut and declare, "Come on down to see discounted furniture." I had forgotten all about Bob's Discount Furniture until I saw a commercial for it here in Chicago. I couldn't believe it. That can't be the same Bob's Discount Furniture, I thought. I grew up about 800 miles from here. Over the years, Bob's Discount Furniture has grown from just a couple of stores in suburban Connecticut to over 125 stores in 20 states as far away as Los Angeles. That's a long-term effort, and it took many years to happen. It's a great business story, but I've still never been inside. Over the years, I've learned a lot about many kinds of businesses. You might know that my day job is in business consulting, which means that I get to see many different types of businesses: banks, manufacturers, food companies, retail, tech companies, you name it. Over the years, I've had a chance to learn about a lot of kinds of businesses through my job. Why would I say that? I would say that if I'm reflecting back on my career, if I'm thinking about the many years I've been in the consulting industry, I think it's up to almost 14 years now. Thinking about those 14 years, I've had many experiences. So I say, over the years, I've had the privilege to get to know many types of companies. The Super Bowl is coming up. That's the championship game in American football. Over the years, the Super Bowl has become more than just a football game. It's a massive cultural event. It's always the biggest live television event on the calendar. About 100 million people watch it. There's a concert during halftime. There's an entire week of media festivities in preparation. The first Super Bowl was in 1967. The cost of a 30-second television commercial was $42,000. Over the years, that figure has ballooned. In 2020, a year ago, a 30-second commercial cost over $5.6 million. Over the years, during many years, the cost has increased to over $5 million. Here's a quote about Wikipedia. It's by the writer James Gleick. He was describing the ways Wikipedia articles were constantly being changed in a tug of war between conflicting editors. He said, "Experts differed, and everyone was an expert." That captures the essence of Wikipedia back then. Experts differ is what you say when there's no real consensus on something complicated. In this case, when James Gleick said, "Experts differed and everyone was an expert," he meant to capture the chaos on Wikipedia as many users, all with permission to edit, rapidly changed articles to suit their own objectives. Well, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed today's audio lesson. My family had a traditional encyclopedia when I was a kid. It was upstairs and took up 2 whole shelves on the bookshelf. It was 1 book for every letter. I think maybe 20 in total. I think P and Q shared a book. That's how I'd research things for my homework. I'd sit on the floor up there and look things up in the encyclopedia. Now, you can just look it up on your phone or ask Siri or Alexa. If you've enjoyed today's lesson, then you'd love being a member of Plain English Plus. In each lesson, we offer a step-by-step video walkthrough showing you how to express a more complex idea in English. And we have practice exercises to help you with verb tenses and prepositions. This is a great way to upgrade your English for 2021. To read all about it, just visit plainenglish.com/plus, Plus. Coming up on Thursday, Starbucks experiments with a new store format. See you then.